who, Tom, I got to tell you, I admire these guys. I talk about it all the time. I salute the UPS drivers and all the mail carriers and the like and all that. I get water delivered to the house by Artesian Water, and this guy, man, we'd plowed through like 5 big things of water, and my man has to walk up and take the empties and then carry those gallons and gallons of water up, working his ass off. Listener of the show, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much. We took the handoff. It was like a relay in the spirit of the Olympics. I was grabbing the waters, bringing them in. Come on, boys, get your water. You're the ones who are drinking all of it. Good time. So we salute all of you, and if you're watching on Warchant TV, we appreciate you doing that as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the website, warchant.com. $1 for a couple months, right? I don't know why we do that. I've fought the company on this. I think it should be no less than $100 a month, but they refuse to give in to my demands. I'm not in control of these websites. So right now, there you go. The $1, get it done, make it happen. If you're in the chat, hello to you. That's the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. Been in an accident, call Heisen Legal Law Firm, 813-803-0733, free consultation there. Heisen Legal Law Firm, it's the name you can trust for justice, 813-803-0733. No cost to you unless they win. HeisenLegalLawFirm.com. Heisen Legal Law Firm, your advocate in times of need. Offices, Tampa. It's not as hot in Tampa as it is in Tallahassee today. No chance. Unreal what we got going on out here today, Tom. I was walking my dogs this morning at 6:52 a.m. We walked out the door. I know that because I set my my little timer thing, and I saw the clock, and by 7:03, so 9 minutes, drenched, and I started laughing. I was like, okay, that's what we do. That's what we do this time of year. 24 days away until the start of college football, and that means Florida State football, since we are the Week 0 game that the world will be watching. How about that? How great is that going to be, man? I look forward to it. More every hour that goes by, more every day that goes by. We got NFL football tomorrow. Once again, stated it earlier, I'll state it again. If you tune in tomorrow for the football game, it's a preseason game. It's not going to move the needle. You're not going to be blown away, but it is an indicator, a signature, a moment in time that marks the time where you say, from this point forward, there won't be another Thursday that if I so choose, I could sit down and watch football. There won't be another Thursday where that won't be the case all the way into February. You're damn right, buddy.
That's the way it's done. I'm starting to feel the heat a little bit. I'm in a middle ground portion of the country right now. I'm in Atlanta on my way down to Tallahassee to come see you, to come see camp. Looking forward to that. I'm a stone's throw away from Atlanta Braves. I'm in Vinings, Georgia, just down the road from where the Braves play. It is going to be an interesting pennant race as you guys keep winning, as we keep winning. And this is a day where, since Florida State has camp off, they're going right back at it tomorrow and Friday. They have a scrimmage on Saturday. You can kind of take a look at the standings and take stock of, man, it looks like a lot of people out there, your Braves, Jeff's Buccos, my Mets, and 3 or 4 other teams are going to be in this thing until we get to Dublin. It might not be until after Dublin that some of these things have sorted themselves out.
Yeah, the trade deadline came and went. A lot of moves made. Your team, my team, lots of teams. We did it. And it feels weird as a fan of a franchise that is so seldomly buying instead of selling to sit back and watch yesterday that the Pirates were adding to the roster. And nice. It'll be fun to watch it down the stretch. We got a big win last night against the Astros on the road. I know you guys won 2-0 over the Twins, and I won't keep you. I think you're saving today's game while we're on the air for later, so there won't be any talk of that Mets game today. You leave it alone if you're in the chat. I will ban your ass.
That is a real test in faith here in the people in the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat. You just let them know that I'm trying to live in 1995 and DVR this thing essentially. Open the app with spoilers turned off and begin the game around 4:00. I'll get done with work a little bit early today. Now I'm not even going to look. I don't trust y'all out there. I don't. I think you're going to put fake scores even. 6-0 Twins in the first, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, they probably will mess with you a little bit, but we can ask kindly not to do that. Just chill out, everybody, and we'll get to it. So I was at practice yesterday. We talked a little bit on Seminole headlines about what we saw yesterday. this has been, Tom, a chance for you to catch up here with me about, and you'll get to see practices soon, which is great. I think you're going to be impressed. I'm impressed with the team. I was doing some hard thinking last night about, you know how when you have a tough decision to make, you grab sometimes. And when I was a little kid, my granddad, I was stressing out about something. I can't even remember really what it was about. And he could sense that I was stressing. He was a very successful businessman. He did a lot of different things in his life. He owned a newspaper. He sold yachts in Miami. He was a real estate agent. He was a fascinating man. Anyhow, he called me Bud, and he goes, "Hey, Bud, come here." And I must have been like 8 years old. So how stressed can you be at 8? But I was stressed, and he could sense it. And he goes, "What's going on with you? I can see it. It's on your face. What's going on?" I go, I think it was like a test or something that I was worried about. And he goes, that's what it was. And he goes, "Did you study?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Did you study enough? Because if you didn't, the answer is to start studying right now." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, if you study enough, then stop worrying about it and go have fun. Just go take the test tomorrow. You'll be fine. But if you didn't, you didn't. You go back there and you study." And I was like, "Oh, man, just straight to it, right?" And then he said, "You'll have much tougher decisions and things later in life. But if you have to, when it becomes not painfully obvious which is which, you do the pros and cons list. Do the pros and cons list. And the only trick is to be as honest with yourself as possible." So last night, I hearkened back to that moment like 40-something years ago. And I was trying to be brutally honest with myself about what we've seen through 6 days and what I like, what I think is unquestionably a pro and what is unquestionably a con. I didn't think there would be many, right? And I knew the pros list would be a lot bigger than the cons list if I even had a con. But were there categories? Was there a third category of unknown? Still not sure. Not enough information to make a decision, an informed decision on whether this belongs under the category of pro or con. And the only one that I got to last night where I thought I just don't have enough, but I'm leaning towards it not being a strength, but rather somebody's going to have to surprise us. And there are a ton of candidates, and maybe it happens. But you're not going to be surprised when I tell you they don't really have a one at wide receiver. They don't really have a one at wide receiver, in my opinion. They got a lot of guys who make for good twos, really good twos. I think there's a depth of twos. It's not a bad problem. Sometimes you have a one and a whole bunch of slappies that you just think, hold on for dear life. They're going to double our ones, and these other guys aren't any good. That's not what I'm saying. It's kind of like, all right, they don't have a guy that you would look at and say, a healthy Keon Coleman was a freak, right? We knew that last year. You saw the healthy Keon Coleman in that game against LSU. You saw a healthy Keon Coleman make that catch against Syracuse in which he was 40-something inches in the air and he caught it one-handed behind his back and all that other stuff. You saw those moments of a healthy Keon Coleman. It's probably about post-Clemson that you never saw it again. You never saw that version of Keon Coleman again. And that was frustrating because you knew that there was so much more in there. NFL scouts certainly did too, and that's why he went as high as he did in the draft, and he's apparently having a great camp. But they don't have that guy on this roster that or anybody that I think can make that leap just yet, to where they is unquestionably a number one.
Yeah, with Keon, what you saw from him was more special teams plays the second half of the season. His punt returning ability came to the forefront. So when you think about the Keon Coleman highlight reel and his one season with Florida State, as a receiver, games 1 through 5, thereabout, and then the back half of the season, there's a catch or two there, but I'm thinking about punt returns that were slow developing. Next thing you know, it's a 30-yard play or a 40-yard play. To me, yeah, and we had a bit of this conversation before the show today. It's almost like we show prepped or something. That's an interesting concept.
Imagine that, yeah.
But this reminds me of 2 years ago, and that's where I was probing you, was like, it's not like Micah Pittman was a one a couple of seasons ago. It's not like Johnny Wilson was a one. He had his moments. The game with Tate Rodemaker on the road at Louisville, that was a performance of a number one wide receiver, but he didn't consistently do that every week.
No. At no
Pokey
point in his
Wilson had
career.
more large plays than Johnny Wilson did outside of that weekend. Like, you start the game against Miami, the first drive, the LSU game to begin the season. That's Pokey Wilson. His fingerprints are all over that game. So is it like that season, or do you think that the cupboard is more stocked than a couple of years ago? How would you compare those two rosters?
Yeah, so okay, some people have brought up in the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat that they do have Morlock, and they do have a guy who is a matchup problem in the form of Kyle Morlock at 6'7", and he's an athlete and he can jump. He is a problem. I mean, sometimes like when how we watch. I'm in no way comparing Morlock to some of the best tight ends we've seen in the last. The tight end has exploded in the NFL as a mismatch. We have these freaks of nature, and Kelsey obviously comes to mind because we've talked about this on the show, and he's been doing it for so long. Where every Sunday you go in to watch the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're like, well, the whole world knows this guy is a problem. Let's see if they bracket him and keep him off the stat line there for a while. And the next thing you know, it's the first half, and dude has 9 catches for $130, and you're going, well, sweet Jesus, everybody. How are we not covering that dude? And the answer is it's hard because he's too big for a safety. He's too fast for a linebacker, and you've got some issues, man. And so I don't know that Morlock is that, but Morlock is a matchup problem at 6'7", good hands, runs well. I mean, that is going to be a problem, but I don't know that constitutes a 1. He's just a really, really good tight end, I think, has a chance to be a really, really good tight end. I think that, Benson's going to be an effective and plus receiver for you. Is he a 1 in the sense that, like, he can't be stopped? No. I mean, no, I don't think he's that. I think he's a nice player. I think he's a really good 2 who may have to play as a 1. I think he's a +2 who has to play as a 1. Jaylen Brown's not ready for all of that. Hakeem, we'll see. I'm not ready to label him right now as a bona fide 1. Got a lot of camp to go. No reason to hit the panic button. That's not what I'm doing. I just figured we got a weekend coming up, and this weekend coming up is their first scrimmage. So it was a good time on the day off to take a little inventory of what we have and where we're at. The vast majority of what I jotted down and thought about was just overwhelmingly positive. I think they're going to be very good on defense. I think they're going to be able to run the football. The offensive line's better. The stable of running backs, deep, elite. I think they've got a lot of talent in that room. Potential for elite. There's, I think DJ's going to play well at quarterback. So most of the boxes you're checking are in the positive column. I just started thinking about it. Is there anybody that opposing defenses are like, oh man, this is an issue? When we've played, everybody knows because we've also had them here at Florida State. There are games, and you think about a pro football, college football, where the best player on the field is receiver so-and-so, and you think, he's going to get his. He's just that good. He's a 1. He's going to get his. People aren't stopping Justin Jefferson all that often. You know what I mean? Like, it happens. They're going to make their plays. We don't have a guy like that where opposing defenses are looking at it and going, we really are going to have a hard time with this guy. I don't think that guy exists right yet.
Well, but what gets fun is perhaps you have a Rondale Moore at Purdue in Jalen Lucas, who people have to fear for the speed to the edges anytime he's in motion. Defenses have to account for that, and they're very scared about that. Or he proves as a slot receiver, or Jaylen Brown does, that you have to be worried about the over-the-top threat. Certainly Malik Benson can fly as well. So while you don't have the reputation of, man, if this guy's in a one-on-one, I'm going to lose that battle because he will out-physical me like Keon Coleman would in the red zone, like Johnny Wilson would often with the catch radius. It doesn't mean that defensive coordinators won't be scared of the scheme. It just comes back to something we've talked about now thousands of times since the end of last year, which is it's all predicated on consistent success on the ground. It was the success of Florida State's counter gap scheme, the running game 2 years ago that made Pokey Wilson dangerous, that made Johnny Wilson and Micah Pittman dangerous. Cam McDonald was dangerous because Trey Benson could be good for a 25-yard gash at any moment. And so you've got to stack against that, and now the receivers become more dangerous by nature of the scheme. DJ's arm adds to that threat. So we've talked about this from a whole different bunch of perspectives, but I think it comes down to, can the running game strengthen the threat of your receiving core? And the good news for this receiving core is I think you've got more numbers to throw at the problem, like at a lot of positions. That in 2021, you had a few guys that you could count on. This time you could probably throw this year 6 dudes, 7 dudes in that rotation, and many of them have different body types and skill sets that could help you in different situations.
I agree with that. And I want to make it very clear that my assertion that we don't have a number one, a bona fide number one that we can identify through 5-6 practices, does not mean they won't have that by season's end or mid-season or week 3 or whatever. And B, it's not something that dooms you to some sort of subpar season. There are a lot of ways to have an effective offense and to score points. Mike usually finds those ways. He's done a very, very good job of playing to his personnel and understanding what he has or does not have. Just as important of understanding what you do have is what you don't have, right? And Mike does a very good job with that. And so I'm not worried. It's just something, if we're having an honest conversation about what are they lacking, because we've talked a lot about their strengths, and there's a lot of strengths there. It's just that what they're lacking is they don't have that ace up their sleeve that is, my guy is just a lot better than your guy.
Yeah, when facing a defense that locks everything down and all things are equal, you're going to need that offensive line to be your guy. That unit is going to have to be your guy that in 3rd and 2 they can get a push, or that DJU can absorb contact and fall forward in 3rd and 2 and go move the chains and continue down the field. 4th and goal from the 1.5-yard line. They're saying it's the 1. Now, that's a long one. How do you get in on that play? You're going to need that. Last year we lamented the lack of the deep ball, the consistency of the deep ball versus 2 years ago. And think about how wild that is. What receiving core was better when it was healthy, 2 years ago or the one that we had last year? And yet it was the offense from 2 years ago that was more lethal and more accurate. Jordan Travis had something to do with that too, but was more lethal and more accurate down the field, more consistent with shot plays. This year's group has a chance to be, I think, even better than 2 years ago. Doesn't mean you have the stars, but you might have the scheme. And Mike Norvell finds a way to get a guy open in space. Last year that wasn't the case as much because he didn't have his jab. He couldn't establish the run. But if you're able to do that this year, and you guys have had a lot of conversations about this, having seen practice, your phone conversation with Ira on Monday, you're talking about, they've addressed the problem successfully. If Mike Norvell is correct that this is the best offensive line he's had, man, I can't imagine. It should be more explosive than even 2 seasons ago where they hit the deep shot an awful lot.
Yeah, this may sound like, setting up a caveat or protection for myself, but I'm glad you added what you did at the end, because it carries much more. As much as I care about my own opinion, it carries a lot more gravitas when Mike says it. So the head coach has told you that he thinks this offensive line is the best that he's had since he's been here. He's basically spoken glowingly of this offensive line. So you may be listening to this or watching this going, I don't trust Jeff's opinion. I don't care about Ira and Corey's opinion. I don't believe Aslan or Tom's opinion. I don't care about it. That's fine. The head coach told you this. The head coach told you this.
Why'd you rank me 5th? Why am I 5th?
I just naming names. There's no order. I was just naming names. Anyhow, the point would be the head coach says all this. So if for some reason they don't run the ball effectively this year like it happened last year, you save the emails. You send them to Mike. Send them to Mike Norvell's office. I don't want to hear it, because he's prattled on about this offensive line. And I think he's right, too, because I do think it's good. I agree with him. Let's hope we're not all wrong.
I'm easily top 2. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, but you're on the show with me right now. This was...
I know.
Oh, man. Seminole, I almost said yesterday's show. See, you got me distracted and flummoxed. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Rick Stockstill, former Knoll, former Middle Tennessee State head football coach. Dustin Hill. Bunch of QBs. Q's on 3, Q's on me. 1, 2, 3.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Jeff, does our lack of a wide receiver one allow defenses to stack the box? Who demands extra attention? Seems like a lot of play calling, creativity will be required. Well, we'll know more, obviously, as we get a chance to kind of watch them in full pads. Starting, like we got our first one yesterday. Today, no practice whatsoever. We have a scrimmage on Saturday. We won't be able to see now. Usually what happens in a scrimmage like that, if they play it like a game in some ways, that information gets back to us and we're able, because sometimes those scrimmages are very scripted, and so it's not the same. Other times it's wide open. We're playing it like a game. Let's go. Let's see what happens. Usually that information eventually gets out. What we can share and what we can't is always, understood, that we can't really come in here and go prattling on about something that we weren't allowed to watch. But it does lend context, and I think I can answer that question better, Briley, as we get further along into these fully padded practices with scrimmages and the like. I don't know yet. I do think I will say this. I think we're going to try to force teams to have to do exactly that. Last year, the Clemson game was a good blueprint if you had the personnel. Now, not a lot of teams had the personnel that Clemson had on defense. But Clemson figured out in that game pretty early on, you know what? We can cover their receivers one-on-one. I'm not worried about it. We just got to make sure we don't let them run the ball. We just got to make sure they don't establish the run in any way, which led to really desperation. If they didn't get what we would describe as a heroic effort in the second quarter by Jordan Travis, followed by a couple of really fortunate breaks, including a missed chip shot and and obviously a sack fumble, strip fumble, touchdown. If they didn't get all that, they wouldn't have won that game because they could really do nothing on offense. Oh, don't forget a quarterback going rogue and calling his own number out of nowhere. If they didn't get all of that, they would have lost that game because they really didn't have an answer. They didn't have an answer for the fact that they could not force Clemson to play them honest. And I don't know how many teams are equipped to do that. I think we've got speed for days. If you're able to establish the run and they have to walk a safety up to put a stop to that, you're going to see a lot of long touchdown passes. And I think that's the intent here, is to establish that ability to move the ball, win first downs. They weren't able to win first downs hardly at all last year, it seems. And if you start doing more of that, guys come up and you throw it over their heads. Sometimes we overcomplicate it, but they brought in speed for that reason, and they brought in a quarterback that really throws the deep ball exceptionally well. So I think there are a lot of opportunities there. But, in the interim right now, it's all hypothetical, right? We just think that they're going to be able to run the ball. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, I think they're better equipped to run the ball than they were a year ago, more efficiently anyhow, because they would do a whole lot of they would have a low success rate of running the football, followed by a 72-yard Trey Benson. Can you believe that guy's that big, running that fast touchdown? Like that's how their run game went a year ago. It was annoying as hell. 2nd and 11, 3rd and 8. Maybe we get the first down where a receiver makes a play. Okay, I'm going to try to run it again. Didn't work. All right, going to try to run it here. Oh, look at that. Broke a tackle piece. He's gone. That dude is so fast and ridiculously strong. But then you'd go back to a quarter and a half of really getting stuffed in the run game. It was really he was an elite difference maker in the sense that he was so strong and had that kind of speed, but he didn't have great vision, and they weren't consistently blocking it up on the offensive line. So you just kind of had to wait around and hope the big play happened because somebody couldn't get his big ass down.
It almost felt like his vision was effectively wild. They tried to fix it in the offseason, and that was the big talking point where Coach Yak, David Johnson, told Trey Benson that you left 300 yards at minimum out on the field last season if you just do this, that, and the other. I felt like Trey was trying to think his way through what he was being coached to see vision-wise the first half of last season, and he never got into a rhythm. He was tentative, and I think effectively wild is the proper way to describe him, because he might be in the wrong place 3 or 4 times, but that 4th time it ends up being okay, and his athleticism takes over and he's gone. And there's a nuance to being able to run in this scheme. There's a timing to it.
Yeah.
Just like with Chris Thompson in outside zone under Jimbo, the timing of waiting, and then being explosive. He was phenomenal at it. And Trayshawn Ward had that timing down, but also some of it is the offensive line. And so my question is, there's only one day of pads. We're still very early into camp. I think it's probably a more fair question just before we set off to Dublin. But what do you think about the O-line? You say they're equipped to run the ball. Last year, they wanted to have an 8-man rotation. I think it was kind of like 7, 6.5 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about reserves this year? Do you think they have 8?
Better. Yeah, I do. I think they're much better there than they were in terms of depth. You're asking specifically about depth. I think so. There are a lot of guys that are capable. There are a lot of guys that when they get put into the game, you're not immediately thinking, oh, this is going to be a problem. By the way, there's some – it's funny. We keep waiting on some of these guys, and I realize that people do not mature and become fully realized physically and what their capabilities are, or maybe even emotionally, to where they can be a plus for a football team. Sometimes that doesn't happen as quickly as you'd like it to. That's especially true when the player is highly thought of coming out of high school. So when you see a guy that comes out, you go, okay, well, I'm really excited about this guy. We finally got ourselves a 5-star or a 4-star offensive lineman or whatever it might be. And then we expect, that, he's going to, probably by the time he's a sophomore, certainly we're going to see signs that he's pushing for playing time at the very least, because you don't really want to play freshman offensive lineman if you don't have to. If you're developing the kind of recruiting prowess that's necessary to sustain greatness over long periods of time, year in and year out, you're not rolling freshman linemen out there. So you might redshirt a guy, then you look into his redshirt freshman year, you start saying, let's see what he is. Nah, not quite ready. All right, well, certainly by the year 3, his redshirt sophomore year, he should be ready to go. And sometimes that's not even enough. But it doesn't mean that by that moment they're not capable of really giving you some positive reps if they have to go into the games. And I think they have a lot of guys like that if they turn to those players and they said, all right, well, we need you for the next we turn to Armella and say, I need you this drive. So-and-so got dinged. We're going to take him in the back and make sure he's okay, under the tent and make sure he's okay. You're in this drive. Could Armella do a good job filling in for Ferguson or Richie or, something like that, Richie Leonard? Yeah, I think he probably could. I think he probably could. I think they've got a lot of candidates in that regard. So if you're asking me about 6, 7, 8, yeah, I think there's certainly at least 3 guys that if put in beyond the starting 5, that if put in, Florida State doesn't take a huge step back. They may not be better, but they wouldn't take a huge step back at all.
Well, and there were plenty of years where if one guy was on the injury report, or how we got to game day and you're going through the motions and the pregame warmups and you're just waiting to see, is that one guard available or not? And if he wasn't, you're like, well,
it was awful.
Because the other 4 guys weren't great either, but you knew that there was one key to one half of the offensive line that was going to give you a fair chance to win. And it's fascinating to me because one guy whose name I feel like has gotten lost in the shuffle, again, I haven't seen practice, but, in camp, we were talking about the 2 SEC transfers, and Richie Leonard looks to be the truth. And I think Ferguson was better in the showcase. That one day, the offensive line operated better with Ferguson in there versus Bryson Estes. But Estes had earned a commendation in the spring. He got more important reps through merit. So he's in that conversation. And people want to know about Armella. And we love Otto because he's a fun project. But he's so early in his career, maybe it's too much too soon. But, I mean, there are other guys like Keandre Jones, who I thought wasn't bad at all last year when he was in there rotating with Meach on the right side. And I wonder how much of a role he's going to play. Because I didn't think when he went in, I didn't sigh, like, oh, man, okay, well, we're going to run left this drive. There's no way we can run right. Like, Keandre was all right.
I think Keandre is all right. I include him in the list of those that they could rotate that I feel good about. If we're going through guys you feel good about, all right, that's let's make that official, right? I'll pull up our depth chart and I'll tell you guys I feel good about if they're out there, and that you don't hesitate and worry. Obviously, Darius Washington, TJ Ferguson, yes. Maurice Smith, he's played 47 years of football. He just keeps on keeping on. Richie Leonard, yes. Jeremiah Byers, I feel okay. He's got to do better than he did a year ago. Robert Scott, if he's healthy, that is a giant I and a giant F. But if he is, and so far he has been, then he's a plus player. Keandre Jones, yes. Jacob Rizzi is your backup center right now, I think. I don't want him to have to play just yet. Julian Armella, if he has to play, do I feel okay? I do. Jalen Early, do I feel okay if he has to play? Yeah, I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good about him. And you mentioned Otto. You mentioned Otto, yes.
That's a big deal. Okay, I'm going to circle back to a couple of names. Rizzi, you don't want him necessarily to play center just yet, but you feel better than you did about Stickle? Bless his heart, Stickle?
Yeah, I feel better than I do about Stickle. Stickle got a bad rep, everybody. Stickle got a bad rep. I thought he held his own. He was never going to be a plus player for you. He was a real, he hung in there. I mean, he was going up against horses, but Stickle could snap, and he was all right.
He could snap. That's right. They needed to conduct practices while Maurice was going through physical hell and torment last year.
Right. Yeah.
It was never Stickle's fault. He wasn't brought in as a 5-star, and Stickle was, what we needed to be functional on offense.
Yeah.
But Jalen Early, okay. You feel good about Jalen Early. You've seen good things.
I've seen. Yeah, he's progressing nicely. That's the best way to describe it. He's progressing nicely. I know why they like him. I don't want Jalen Early to have to start. He's a redshirt sophomore, but I think he's progressing nicely. I didn't mention Bryson Estes, but he is also one of those guys that we've seen a ton of Bryson Estes. If he has to start, you're not dead. There are better players than him right now. And so I don't think he's going to start. But if he gets in, you're not devastated. The point is they've raised the floor of the talent to where you could put in the backup players for each of the starting 5, and all of them could hold their own. Are you worse off if the starters have to come out? Every team is, and they would be too. But is it a disaster the way it used to be? Is it you fall off a cliff and you're impotent to do anything on offense if the backups, let's say 3 backups have to be in for a drive or a quarter or a game, like the injury bug just hits us wrong for a week, and all of a sudden you've got a lot of guys I just mentioned that aren't starters that are now having to play. Would you be okay? Well, I would say, A, it depends on who you're playing. Is it a dominant defensive line? Probably not, right? You don't want your backups facing a dominant defensive line. If it's just your standard, 0.0 war of a defensive line, would you be okay? Yes, I think you would be. I think they've got enough guys like that now. They never used to. At best, we used to sit around and go, well, there's a 6th lineman, and he happens to be a Swiss Army knife. His name is Darius Washington, and you could put him at guard, or you could put him at center, or you could put him at tackle. You could put him anywhere on the line, and you're not going to be worse off. He's going to be okay. But that was all you had. You didn't have anybody else. Like, you look down the bench, and you're like, is there anybody else that you feel good about? Nope. Nobody else. And I wouldn't say that now. I wouldn't do that now. Now I'd look down that line, and I'd be like, all right, Julian Armella, you're in. I'm going to be all right. He's going to make enough plays here against your standard defensive line, not against an elite defensive line. He's not ready for that yet. You need your starters out there for the better groups. But that's every team. I don't know too many teams that you're going to be able to put a bunch of backups in and feel good against an elite opposing line.
I still like the fact that I think you listed, mentally counting now, somewhere between 9 or 12 guys that you feel okay about. Not that you're fired up about, but that you feel okay about.
Oh, I don't know about 12, but yeah, 9.
Look, you threw Robert Scott in there. You threw Otto in there.
Well, you think so with Robert Scott, too. The only question, he's a redshirt senior. He's played thousands of snaps. Robert Scott, he's good when he's healthy. He's just never healthy.
You're predisposed to not even give him credit because you don't believe that he exists. He's the unicorn, in terms of availability. But I hear something in your voice that tells me you feel a little bit more optimistic that the dream might be real and he might be able to rotate in there every once in a while.
I am very pragmatic. I'm a realist. And I will tell you, last year I got so tired of hearing about how Robert Scott was going to be available this Saturday and how he was going to help us. And there were no indications. There weren't positive indications in my mind that was going to be true. It felt like wishful thinking. It felt like that's what they hoped would be the case, not what the evidence told them would be the case. And so I pushed back on that to the extent that I could, because I think I could make a more cogent argument for why I believed that, but it would get me in trouble. So I didn't. But I'm not making that same pushback approach or argument right now because, to put it bluntly, he's practiced every day. He's been out there every day. So the evidence leads me towards a positive feeling regarding him. There's no, well, where is he today? Oh, another one of those days, huh? That's not what's happening. He's out there every day, man, giving it a go and getting after it. And again, I'm right up against that line of things I can and can't say about these things, but he's out there. So when somebody asks us on the board or on the Smash or in the chat right now, or what is so-and-so out? Yeah, he's out there. Yeah, you can see him in the videos. He's out there. He's serious reps. Hasn't come out. Hasn't pulled himself out. I haven't seen him, where all the injured guys go. I mean, none of that. So, hot damn. That is a huge difference from what we saw a year ago, and I'm really positive about that. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Thomasville Police Department is alerting residents to a scam where victims receive unexpected packages in the mail, such as unexpected jewelry and other products. A card with a QR code prompts the receiver to register their new product. If the QR code is scanned, a malware virus is uploaded to the phone, enabling scammers to access sensitive data and information to post false reviews of the products and others on multiple websites, which may cause people who rely on the reviews to purchase worthless items. The United States Postal Inspection Service calls these brushing scams. These fake reviews help fraudulently boost or inflate the product's ratings and sales numbers, which they hope results in an increase of actual sales in the long run. If this type of package is received, TPD urges residents to either change your account passwords, your information may have been compromised, closely monitor your accounts and credit cards, notify the authorities, and don't pay for the product. It is your choice to keep it, return to the sender, or throw it away. This is Rachel Anay with your Earl Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A heat advisory remains in effect. Chance for storms this afternoon. Otherwise, sunshine mixed with clouds at times. High temperatures reach up to 95. Southwesterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies again tonight. Slight chance for storms. Lows around 75. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, it's 91 degrees.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then
Yeti.
Here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And,
Never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Rolling on Big River on a Balls McWednesday. Always fun to do. Tom Watson, good luck to your grandson, Sam Watson. He is in the Olympics speed climbing competition. We were made aware of this the other day when you were in the chat, and I loved it. It made me smile. For those of you that didn't know, you can see it there in the Heisen Lincoln Law Firm chat right now. Sam's qualifying climbs will be around 7:30 a.m. on Tuesday, August the 6th. Finals about 6:30 a.m. on Thursday, August the 8th on NBC. Cool. And thanks for the contribution, Tom. I appreciate that as well. Let's make it happen, Sam. Go climb your ass off. That's hard work. That is crazy. That's an understatement, obviously. You ever done the rock climbing, Tom?
Yeah, I actually went through a phase. I really enjoyed it. Have you ever done it?
You went through a phase, huh?
Yeah. So when I was in my teens, my sister's gym in Oldsmar, Florida, had one of the ones that's on the. It's like a treadmill, but you got to climb it to keep moving. And then I've been to a gym or two over the years, but it was mostly pre-college and in college. But it's a whole lot of fun, actually.
I have done it. My kids wanted to do it when they were little, so we used to take them out there. And then eventually they were like, "Dad, will you do it?" I'm like, "Yeah." And that's where I discovered that it's hard. That's where I discovered that it's really, really hard.
It is that.
Yeah. There's a whole lot of pausing for me. Like, okay, I got this. Hold on now. Let me build to it. All right, we got it again. There we go. We're good. Let's everybody hold. Let's hold on here. Okay. We're pretty good. I can't fathom these free solo guys. It just watching those documentaries, watching the people who do that with the risk knowing that one misstep or misplaced hand on a rock is their death. It gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's like watching people tightrope over a canyon or watching somebody, for the purposes of social media, which countless people have died doing this, and I laugh at them when they do, like on the edge of a skyscraper and they're shooting selfie videos, like look at me dangling off the edge of this Japanese skyscraper. Like what are you doing? What are you doing? And then you find out, oh, well, they died. Oh, you don't say. They died, huh? I'm stunned. So usually when I hear that, I go, is there footage? I want to see the footage of them falling. And most people are like, well, what? I want to see it. If you're going to be a dumbass for my entertainment, please, by all means, entertain.
That was a good self-censor. That was close. That was a close one.
Mm-hmm. But I do like these videos that are on. You see them anywhere. If you doom scroll and you're going through your Instagram or your Twitter or whatever, you will find one of those videos in short order. Well, the algorithm knows me, so it knows that I like seeing people in precarious situations. So it's like, hey, you haven't gotten your fill yet of somebody falling to their death. Here you go in Bolivia. Yesterday, this guy, an 18-year-old TikToker, called it a day, all in the name of TikTok. And I laugh and think it's funny.
So this is as good an opportunity as any. It shows you how time flies. About 12 years ago now. Actually, tomorrow will be the Camathon's 12th birthday. I think that's right.
Oh, my Lord. The Camathon.
Isn't that right? I mean,
Yeah,
August 1st. Right. So about a month or two into your stint with the 4-letter network, you're doing a headlines show and you're talking about bear attacks caught on video, bear maulings caught on video.
Yeah.
And you told the guys on headlines that you love that stuff. Like, you don't necessarily want to see it, but you want to hear the horror, for the guys who are training them or whatever, like if they're around bears and they're dumb enough to believe that they're their friends.
Right. Like the documentary Grizzly Man.
Yeah.
That guy, now you don't see him get mauled, but you hear about it, and I laughed at it. Yeah.
Right.
Treadwell. Wasn't that guy's last name Treadwell, whatever it was? Yeah.
I will trust you. You have encyclopedic knowledge on things that matters like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so you talked about rooting for it and wanting to hear the sounds of his horror.
And you had to field a call, didn't you? Or an email.
That is correct. And the guy was so nice. It was a phone call. He's like, I tuned into this show you have. I love your new programming called Seminole Headlines. And this show wasn't about the Seminoles or any kind of headlines at all. It was about a bear killing a man. And I'm confused.
Is this still the same show that I heard last week?
That's right.
Yeah, no, that's the whole thing about a show, is you can do a lot of different things and go a lot of different places. And sometimes it's not exactly what you, the personal, that singular listener wants. But wherever the host is going, and you got to put up with that, But yeah, I do. Anyhow, Sam Watson's going to kick ass climbing those rocks, and he's going to win a gold, and we're going to celebrate all of that. And I'm excited about it. And this is a very different kind of climbing. This isn't the foolhardy, I'm going to climb straight up a mountain with no support and die. Yeah, this is crazy. So Tom brought this up. Speed climbing is straight up a vertical 15-meter wall. World record holder Sam consistently under 5 seconds. Woo-hoo-hoo. Can you imagine the hand strength, the shoulder strength, the arm strength, the cardiovascular strength? Just flying up a 15-meter wall. You know how many seconds that would take me to do if I could complete it?
Yeah,
and I'm not weak. I'm not a weak person, but I don't climb walls all that often. And I have to tell you, we might be there a few minutes.
Gives me the heebie-jeebies because it's the kind of thing a demon little girl child would do in a horror movie, is just climb up a building like that.
Like a spider?
Oh,
a really fast spider?
No, thank you.
I had a moment. Now we're getting ready to start hour number 2 where we will proceed and move forward back into the sports. But I had a moment the other day. I was on my riding lawnmower, Tom, and I was mowing the back. It's a little hairy in the back. We've got some trees that overhang from the neighbor's yard and some other areas. And I'm always trying to keep a good lookout as I go.
Did you just take a shot at your neighbors? And
a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. And so when I get up close to the fence there and I see where that overhang is happening, things live in there. You never know. You might go right through a web. but I had a moment where I was both proud of myself but had to slow my heart rate down. I whipped around the right corner to come down the straightaway. I love it. It's like hauling ass on a riding lawnmower. It's just a straight shot. But there's this little overhang that you got to navigate, and I did it, and I got left, and I'm about to go straight and hit the gas. Bam! Right face level. Monster spider just hanging out, waiting for some poor thing. In this case, my face. And I hit the brakes with the best of them. Buddy, that was frightening. But we made it. We made it. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with.
Accelerate your feet through the board. Now that pattern shit, accelerate. Step to him, defense. Get on step. Bend your knees and step to him, Drive. Accelerate through. Strike through. Good, Darius. Accelerate. Middle weight. Get your middle weight on your opposite foot. Strike. You can't be laid off the ball in a drill that goes on the whistle. Right foot into the board. You get good step. Go in that step. Look at it. Take a knee. You don't have to get enough on the field. You just want that foot. You don't have to get to the middle of it. 6-inch step. Here we go. Right and right. Tight step right here. Accelerate it out. That's not bad. Drop your hands. You're going to just squeeze those elbows. Squeeze into your body. Too slow, James. Everybody do it like Mo. Do it like Mo. Winding up.
Contribute 10% of the net revenue to the Battle's End. So go tried and true today. Call 844-464-6653. Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Up for him, Chad. Thanks for being a part of what we do each week, each day. Means a lot. Appreciate it. Continues to grow. As I said earlier in the week, I'll announce maybe by the end of the week exactly when the third hour comes back. It is going to be within the next couple of weeks. So we were excited to make that announcement the other day, and I'm encouraged by all of that. Man, with the NFL coming back now and all those camps underway, game tomorrow, deals getting done. I want some space to be able to talk about those things, other things besides the Noles. As much as we love it, you do have to have a little bit of variety, and we'll have that opportunity again when we add that third hour. So I look forward to it. It's man, what a good time. I always remember at the start of every football season, I try to remind myself, like, appreciate each of the days when the things are happening that affect your talking points and opinions of the games that weekend or rosters or whatever it might be, because it does always go fast. And you're reminded of that at the season's end when you're like, oh no, it's almost gone. Like, you feel the weight of that. You ought to feel the joy of this.
The good thing, too, about college football is that the existence of the season, it runs longer. College football season is going to be an extra month, so you'll get more of it. And with the transfer portal, the calendar of college football is starting to resemble that of the NFL, where you're going to be invested in it for longer. But you're right. And the other thing is, this isn't a loser's mentality, because when you have a championship level roster, you ratchet up the way you talk about that roster. So, for example, when the Buccaneers got Tom Brady, we talked about them on Scuttlebucks way differently than we did when Jameis and Bruce Arians were trying to, get on the same page and you're trying to be upwardly mobile. Like, there's one thing between trending up. There's another thing with championship expectations. The JCS sounded very different in 2013 post Clemson than it did in 2012 or 2011, because you could tell that there was an opportunity at hand. But the thing that is positive to me, as I get older, I embrace more than just going perfect seasons. Give me a team that's fun to watch and is likable and that does win and can compete. Because when you don't have that bare minimum thing, and you're going through the end of Jimbo's time here, and you're going through Willie's short-lived era and Mike Norvell's first season and a half, it's lonely, man. That is no fun as a sports fan. And every one of our teams has gone through those swoons. And it's unfortunate. But when you're on that rise, man, like you've talked about, sometimes the journey itself towards a championship is more fun than when you're the 2014 Seminoles and you're trying to keep an undefeated streak alive. It's exhausting almost once you get there and you try to stay at the top. The chase is unbelievable. And this group, this program right now is on a chase. They should have had a better opportunity to, succeed sooner last year. But I mean, we're going to have another fun football team to watch this fall. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, sustaining greatness is in and of itself a different subject, different talking point, different evaluation and way of experiencing games and players and seasons, and it affects your dialogue. It's not as fun. I think that's true. It's more fun to watch them build from nothing to something, from something to greatness, from greatness to the pinnacle of the sport, perhaps, right? And then, Alabama fans certainly know what that is. We had a stretch where we knew what that was in the 90s to be, and briefly there with Jimbo with all those wins in a row. I don't know. You know what's interesting about that, Tom, looking back? In the 90s, now I know we go back and look at the 90s and say, okay, it's our era, it's Nebraska's era. You look at those times with the Noles winning 93 and 99 and being in the mix for so much more. Really kind of frustratingly should have had at least 3 more there. But the point would be, and had Winky not gotten hurt, we would have beat Tennessee by 50. But that's a whole nother deal. We were the preeminent program until Nebraska kind of just eked out in front of us a little bit there with the back-to-backs. But going into those seasons, there was nowhere to go but down. Like, everything was a relief. Every Saturday was a relief when you got the desired result. When you went into that, now it was high-flying, electrifying, players NFL bound for days, speed, depth, size, rightful expectations of pure domination. You went into the stadium, it was a showcase of excellence every Saturday. And the standard was so unreasonably high to some extent. Like, it wasn't that you beat Duke 30-7. It was that you should have beat them 66-7. And why didn't we? Like, those kinds of conversations are what we were prone to. And that's why I say you would get somewhere afterwards at the tailgate and you would exhale over a cold beer and say, well, we won. We didn't cover, but, a lot of backups in early today. I guess Bobby just wanted to give guys some rests, Like that kind of stuff was the standard conversation. That is not nearly as joyful. It's awesome, and it's its own reward in that you are the program that everybody wants to be. But what is more fun is seeing the evidence that you're on your way to that place. And that takes longer, and there's nuance to it. It's funny. I mean, that 2013 team, which was the best team in the country, and we knew it, and it damn near didn't do what it rightfully should do, which is cap it off with a national championship, right? We were that kind of concerned because we thought, we'll never live this down. It's not close. Florida State is way better than Auburn. Florida State's way better than everybody this year. Don't do this. Don't have this kind of a mistake, this slip up in the most important moment, and deny yourself what you know to be the case, which is that you are the best and thus you should be crowned as such. And so when they won, you were happy about it. But what's weird is simultaneously, Tom, we were not the preeminent program because Alabama still was. It was us and Alabama for a snapshot, but it was mainly Alabama, right? Whereas the 90s Noles, it was us. Unless we were playing pretty much Nebraska, it was us. And you had some Florida teams in there and Miami teams in there, of course. But we're not at that place right now. We are not Georgia. None of us pretend to be. We are not where Georgia's at. Now, I don't look at what happened in that exhibition game with almost every single one of our starters not playing in the game as the indicator that we're not Georgia. No, I look at a greater body of work and depth and head start that Georgia's had as we were changing regimes and Mike was getting started. He hasn't had the opportunity to establish that level of consistency, but also standard of talent that is 2 and 3 deep. We're not there yet. We're better. We're certainly a lot further along than maybe we thought we were going to be just 3 years ago. You don't have the season that they just had, and you don't go out to these practices and talk about the depth of an offensive line that might be 8, 9, 10 deep, right? If you haven't raised the floor considerably, that secondary is on a daily basis proof of how far the program has come, because that is another area, Tom, where I look out and say, this reminds me of the old days. This reminds me of, okay, so our starters are going to be Fintrell, Cypress, and AZ. Great. Awesome. NFL-bound players, should have a huge year, may not be a better duo in the country. You know who's behind them? 3 or 4 guys that I'm really excited to see play and become starters at some point. You know, whether that's Quindarius Jones, whether that's Lester, whether you name, right? We just, it is fun when you look at that. You go, oh, man, now that is rich. That is good. And then you added, Earl Little Jr. and all these guys. I mean, you just got talent for days, and you feel good about it. But there are still other areas where that's not the case, where you're not the creme de la creme, where you don't look around and say, there's no way anybody has more talent than we do here. We used to say that all the time. But Georgia does. Georgia does. Ohio State does in a lot of areas. We're still catching up. So this becomes a cool year, a fun and interesting year. You've graduated from, can we get back to winning 10 games and mattering? Yep. Can we win the conference? Like last year's mantra wasn't go undefeated. It was, can we take back the conference from Clemson, please? We happened to go undefeated, but it was more like, can you just win the damn conference? You got a ton of talent. You got a lot of experience. You brought in some elite players that are difference makers. Let's see if you can win the conference now. It's about damn time. And you did. And you went on the road to do it, which made it especially, I think, rewarding. Now it's a whole different conversation, but we're still not at that place that we were where you're kind of, exhaling every time you win a game. No, you're still appreciative.
Totally. And the thing that makes me happy is it sounds like there's more ammunition for the fight. Like, again, last year's 22 could be arguably at the end of the season, we'll take a look and say better than this year's 22. But last year's 35 won't be as good as this year's 35. As you're talking about depth and substitutions and the strength of a roster. And then the other thing what I'm gathering from afar, I'm looking forward to putting my eyes on this thing in the next week. But watching the Warchant wrap yesterday where you and Ira broke down camp and you were both very enthusiastic, and hearing headlines and listening to all that we do, wake up, everything that we do. You guys seem genuinely smitten with this freshman class. You guys seem genuinely, optimistic about the depth at several positions. While there might not be a Jared Verse, but there are 3 of these guys who can help. That's what makes me excited is you can compete this year, but you're building for the war at the same time as you're sharpening your tools for the battle ahead. And that makes me very, very excited to see what camp looks like, because when you were talking again yesterday after practice is over, it seems like the freshmen have a good day or 2 or 3 freshmen have a good day every day. And they're putting these efforts together. It sounds like the assembly line is back up and running on both fronts. Last year, it felt like the assembly line was more towards get everybody back that is good and proven, and let's go all in on a run. And they went 13-0, and they should have been better rewarded for it. But it feels like this year it's let's retool on the fly, make sure our starting group is good and quality, but let's make sure that we start building the infrastructure so that we can have 3-year success, 4-year success. And that's encouraging. It's coming through in all of your reporting.
Do you ever, I think it changes as you get older. When I was in college, and, this is the early 90s, and Florida State has emerged along with a handful of other teams, Miami and Nebraska, aforementioned. Depending on the year, it could be somebody else. There could be a Michigan in there or Ohio State in there. Certainly, there'll be years, Oklahoma, whatever it might be, right, where you would look around, Southern Cal or somebody. Back then, it was kind of like I wanted it to be unequivocal that my school, Florida State University, was the very best at football. There was nobody better. You couldn't leave room for doubt. You knew there were some people that would rise up and challenge that, and those would be the ones that you had to vanquish either in a bowl game or if they were in your own state like Florida or Miami, you were going to play annually so you could decide it on the field. You know, there was not room for anything else. The way I viewed the seasons, the way I viewed the teams, the way I viewed the program. And while I still want to be the very best and I want Florida State to win, I want Florida State to win the national championship every year. It would be great. It would be great. I think I certainly have a much better perspective on the realities of the sport, what's possible, what's not possible. Certainly the changes in the sport aren't going to make that possible to do those kinds of things because of all the extra games you're going to have to play, all the more opportunities there are to trip up and NIL and all these things that have changed all of that. You know, like let's say you were bringing in 25 recruits, you know, pretty much you're not bringing in 15 of the 25 as 5 stars. You know, it's like that because everybody's got money to pass around. You're not going to win every one of those. But we used to do that. We used to be like, screw you. We'll take them all. We want every one of these bitches. We're taking them all. And that's not the way it works anymore. So you have to adjust to what you think is a great season and what marks excellence and sustained excellence. You know, you have to sprinkle in national championships. Like for Mike to have a great coaching career here at Florida State, he is going to have to win a national championship. Jimbo did, Bobby did. To be talked about in the same breath, he's going to have to win one. And now, I don't know when that is, but before he leaves here, he's going to have to win one for us to put him in that pantheon of greatness. He's already going to be well thought of, though. He's already going to be, you know, right now, as they say, screw around and go 6-6 this year and watch how quickly that all fades. You know, I mean, we could go from lauding what the man has done to, was it smoke and mirrors? Did we really get lucky? I mean, you know how quickly doubt creeps in, Tom. But I'm satisfied now, like when I look at what I think great seasons and great programs do or are, you know, it's that you're going to win double-digit games, certainly, because you play so many. You better win at least 10 or you're not very good, right? Okay, so there's that. You ought to be in the mix annually. If you're at Florida State, you have to be one of the 2 favorites every year to win the conference. Every year. That's your sustaining excellence at that point. You better be that. It's us in Clemson. No, it's not Miami. It's not North Carolina. It's not going to be SMU if we don't want it to be. It is us in Clemson. That's it. That's all. Miami's been trying to climb that. Miami's never won the ACC. Sweet Jesus. How long do they have to be in this league? It's embarrassing. But that's why because the pushback will be, well, Miami could. No, they've never won it. They've played for it once. Once. Losers. So go through all this. And it's fascinating to like, okay, from there, what does it have to be? You got to win a playoff game? All the while understanding that over a 5-year span or a 7-year span, you'll look back and reflect on a coach's time and say, well, I like that we've won 4 conference championships in 7 years. I like that we've won 10 or more games all 7 of those years. I like that we've made the playoff because of that in, 4 of the 7 years. I like that we won a couple of playoff games. It's just a different era of college football and a different way of judging what your program success and excellence is.
As we're growing up an NFL fan, I can tell you that, there's a sliding scale. If you get a bye, and they're going to change the structure of how you get a bye moving forward. This, you got the 12 team for like 10 seconds, so then it's going to go to 14.
10 seconds before it's 14. It should just jump to 16 to be done with it.
If you get a bye and you lose, is that better than, a wild card berth and a win in week, in that game, and then you get to the second round and get smoked? Like, I think that's better to earn the bye. And then even if you lose that first playoff game,
you're on to the second round. You've already made it to the second round.
Right. That's an accomplishment. But we're going to have those debates. That is the future of the sport. Is like, we're going to have those debates. Well, he doesn't win playoff games enough. Well, he gets a bye every year, so he's doing something, right? You don't play nobodies to earn a bye week. These are the types of things that you're going to have to decide. And then also championship hunting is going to be, if we can get out of the conference eventually and have the infrastructure, it actually might be easier to be in that Final Four more often. But right now, I don't think we're in a financial position where we can reasonably expect that we're going to be in the Final Four of the college football playoff every single year or 3 out of 4 years. In the 90s, it would have been. We literally would have been in the Final Four every single year for the entirety of the decade.
You know what I think about? I think about our 3 national championship flags that wave on high. And I think about, should be more. But I also think about all those bastards that never won one before all this change. I'm looking at you, Oregon. There are others out there. Never won one. Good luck now. I mean, the path to you pulling one of those babies down is pretty damn difficult now. You got to do a lot more. Missed your chance, didn't you? Swung and missed. Like, it's brutal. I mean, maybe they will. But, man, they've got to jump through a lot more hoops and over hurdles that, nobody else had to prior to expanding to a 12-team, which is soon to be a 14-team playoff. Holy moly, that's got to hurt. If you own a business, say a restaurant, a bar, if you are the proprietor of a dentist's office or a doctor's office, anywhere where you have televisions and signage, you need to reach out to my friends at Tried and True Consulting, because here's the deal. They're going to give you a free ad board. They'll put up the television themselves. If you got room on the wall, they'll put in a television. And like 1/3 of the screen could be your menu, could be what the specials are that day. The rest of it could be baseball or football, college football, could be anything you want it to be. But as they advance and expand scale, they want to be in your business. They want to put that TV in there for you, and they want to say, hey, Tried and True, we got you. Here you go. Run what you want up there. Put your daily specials. We're good to go. It takes a little chip. You don't even have to worry about it. They'll do the programming on a daily basis from their end. It's that easy. It's a free effing television. Tried and True Consulting, I'd like an extra one in my bathroom. Please come put in a television in my bathroom. Run whatever ads you want. The camera and schedule will be on it. We'll put up there for the boys to see every day. Bryce, you've got football at this time. Clark, you're with your brother at this time. And it'll say brought to you by Tried and True. It'll be great. Everybody will be able to look at it. I want it in my household in addition to all the restaurants, bars, doctor's offices, waiting rooms for your mechanic. You name it. They got it. Here's how you do it. Take advantage of this. It's good stuff. And by the way, these guys are both Knowles, and they give back 10% of their profits to the Battle's Inn. You got to call Don or Joe today and make sure you cash in here, guys. They're saving you money. They're making you money. It's good stuff. 844-463-6653. 844-463-6653. 6653. I'm for Noel. It's that easy. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Look at that. Day one already on the seams, y'all. Already on the laces.
Back behind the goddamn shoe. Are we clear? Stop that lazy you already sorry. So why not do a little Damn, I ain't sorry you know? Hey, yeah, John back. Hey, whatever you got, you little thing right. Hey,
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
All right, I'm watching closely, kind of, off and on. USA leading 1-0 in the Olympic group stage here for the women's soccer over Australia, if you need to know. 64th minute, Tom. Hang in there. Did you watch the gymnastics?
I did not. And that's not a knock. I do enjoy the Olympics. I've just been bouncing around doing things, so I haven't been able to catch as much as I'd like. I was on a flight to Atlanta yesterday, and I caught a lot of swimming, Jeff, because that's what was on at 6 a.m. But no joke, as boring as it can be, the 1,500 meter is such an accomplishment and a feat to watch these long distance swimmers just go and go.
I agonize watching them. I'm always like, good God, that looks ridiculously hard.
To the point that I believe it. They're in such a zone that they ring the bell to let them know you're almost done. You know, they come by and then they start to flip around and do one more lap. They're like, bing, 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 bing. That means you're almost done. You have to get in such a zone with the torture that is on your body to be able to go that far as fast as some of these people go. So I've seen a lot of swimming. I haven't tried out that 3v3 basketball thing. I hear people are enjoying it.
I like 3v3. I like, well, listen, I even watch Ice Cube's 3-on-3 league. I like it. I rather enjoy it.
You watch that?
I do. I'll tell you why. A, it's got a ton of former players that were kind of from my era that I really liked, you know, and they're still able to play because it's 3-on-3. But also because I grew up playing a lot of those 3-on-3 type pickup games, half court, 3-on-3. You know, like when you couldn't get 10 to run, you'd come out there like, we got 5 or 6 guys. All right. Or you got 4 and then a couple of scrubs that are waiting to play. You're like, come on. Let's get a 3-on-3 going. It's relatable. The spacing's different. Strategy's different. It's a game within itself. It's basketball, but it's just different basketball. And I always liked it. I think it's, I can relate to it in a way. And I enjoy that. I also watch that women's rugby team fighting like hell down to the last second to win a medal. I'm like, this is awesome. And we've got some ladies that, you know, I used to joke about this all the time.
Oh boy.
Whenever we talked about women's sports. And I would always be like, you know, people love to overstate things. They just do it. I don't know why they feel compelled to do it. It's an insult to the women themselves. But you'll hear male commentators say things like, you know, she's one of those successful women that you just see the grace and the strength and the speed with which she plays, and you have to wonder aloud whether or not she could play in a professional man's league. And I go, no, you don't. She couldn't. She wouldn't make the team. It wouldn't be close. Stop doing that. Don't try to throw those add-ons in there for no reason. Don't do that. Appreciate them for what they are in that sport, kicking ass, and she's the elite she's preternaturally gifted amongst others that are like her competing. Just leave it at that. You don't have to throw in all the add-ons, right? That said, there is a woman that plays for the U.S. women's rugby team that I don't want to tackle. I want no part of it. And I don't know, man. She's a hoss. She might. I like if a commentator were to go, you look at her and you see the speed and the strength, and you just have to wonder whether or not she could play in a men's league. That might be one where I'd go, I do kind of wonder. She's got some unbelievable attributes. This chick is like 6'2", 235 and can go. I'm like, all right, I don't know, maybe Division II, maybe something. I'm telling you, Tom, I can't remember her name, but she's unbelievable. Where I go, that is insane. There aren't many women that I've ever seen that look like they can run alongside some of the more athletic and faster men in the same sport. It's unbelievable.
I have not seen this. I'm sorry I missed this whole tournament, this whole rugby tournament in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I'd like to see this.
Yeah, you don't have to, don't get nervous about any of this. I'm not saying anything crazy. This is just
No, but what it is, it's gasoline for people to put their own baggage in the chat. So that's where I'm like,
no, yeah, but I'm not
swinging the band hammer. Let's go.
Oh, well, no, whatever, people do that nonsense. No, it's fascinating when I watch, when I watched that over the years. I always resented where people would say that. They just throw that in there for no reason. And you're like, well, they couldn't. It's not their fault. Physiological differences. What do you do? Biological differences. What do we say? But this woman, I'm like, it'd be like the conversation you could have had years and years ago, Tom, if you had to wrestle China. Would you be do you think you could whoop China's ass?
So that was every teenage boy. I was Attitude Era, WWF, Monday Night Wars. Grew up in an excellent time for wrestling. I know that you did as well, but I mean, the Monday Night Wars were edgy stuff. Oh
yeah, they weren't fooling around.
They were not. And China actually became the first woman intercontinental champion in WWF history. So there you go. There's your answer. I think she and Chris Jericho had a spat at that time, and she came away with the belt. But I mean, at the time, yeah, man, China was, holy cow. She was ready for battle.
She's dead as a doornail, isn't she? I think she's dead.
Most wrestlers are, yeah.
Right, that's what I mean. I think anybody from that era is pretty much dead. Pretty much, or hanging on for dear life.
Yeah, like Triple H is still kicking, but he had a massive coronary, and he made it through it.
Oh, he did?
Oh, yeah. Huge.
How long ago?
A few years ago. I mean, he's still running creative for them, but yeah, he had a massive coronary.
Nothing was better than you ran.
I was going to say, look at his body in like 1996 and then 2002 and tell me that he wasn't ticketed for a massive cardiac event.
By the way, nothing was better than that picture that day that you took with Jericho from the bar when the Braves were playing, and it was a rain delay or whatever. I still love that picture.
So it was called, oh God, I forget. I'm going to call it the Hub because that's the Smoky Bar in downtown Tampa, but it was like that. You walk in there and it's just one big cigarette. And
it wasn't a cigarette. It had to have been cigars, right? They're not still smoking cigarettes in Atlanta. This is not that long ago.
No, I mean, it's right near the ballpark, and it was smoky in there. Yeah, if a certain part of your sales are alcohol, I think Florida used to do this. Like if a certain percentage of your sales are alcohol, you can be smoking. And this guy from the dartboards walks over, and he's like, "There's Chris Jericho over there." I'm like, "Oh God, okay." But it was he was.
But it was Jericho, and he was cool.
He was cool. We got him a Labatt Blue, and he said, "Oh, I'm not drinking beer, but that smells delicious." And he hands it back, and then he photobombs me. Yeah, that's what happened.
The photobomb is awesome though, and he's smiling and you're smiling, and you're both in good spirits.
And he says he's not drinking anymore, but I promise you, he was a 12 out of 10. Like he was having a good time. So yeah.
Maybe he wasn't drinking beer anymore.
Yeah, probably.
Is probably what he was trying to say. You've seen this week in the upper left-hand corner, if you're paying attention to the chat, that we have a sponsor that's come on board with us. It's DexaFit. I went through the process and was very impressed. It's a lot of fun to learn kind of how you're built, really, in the areas of strength, the areas of weakness, the areas in which you can improve, and they lay it out bare for you. It's an eye-opening and informative glance at your body composition, bone density, all of those things. It's well tested by the exercise science community, and it's an incredible health diagnostics tool that will help accelerate your path to fitness. I've talked about them before. I will continue to talk about them. I think you would enjoy it. Go check them out, DexaFit.com. And if you go swing on in there, they're right over there by Bumpus. Walk in, learn some more about that process. Tell them Jeff Cameron sent you. We're happy to have them on board. We appreciate you. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Cairo Police Department is investigating a double homicide at around 1 a.m. on Tuesday. Officers responded to the 7th Avenue Northwest and 4th Street Northwest area near Azalea Park in reference to shots fired. Officers found a male, later identified as 35-year-old James Sherman of Cairo, suffering from gunshot wounds at a residence. Officers found a second shooting victim in Azalea Park. EMS confirmed that the female was deceased, later identified as 41-year-old Heather Haywood, also of Cairo. Sherman was taken to a local hospital by EMS where he later died. Both victims will be taken to the GBI crime lab where an autopsy will be completed. Investigators have collected evidence and are conducting interviews in the case. Anyone with information is encouraged to contact the Cairo Police Department at 229-378-3096. This is Rachel Anay with the Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by McLemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A heat advisory continues until 8 p.m. tonight. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon, with thunderstorms likely. Highs level off around 95. Winds out of the south around 5 miles per hour. Slight chance for storms tonight. Lows level off around 75. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 93.
Re-elect City Commissioner Curtis Richardson. Commissioner Curtis Richardson is dedicated to making our city better, and that means addressing the most important matters head on. Commissioner Richardson supports effective public safety, increased affordable housing, greater job creation, and preserving Tallahassee's natural landscapes. Commissioner Richardson is good for Tallahassee. On August 20th, let's re-elect Commissioner Curtis Richardson.
Made by Curtis Richardson, nonpartisan for Tallahassee City Commission, Seat 2.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
no.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Been a minute. Got to turn your mic on since there has been anything close to this for me. I think over time you learn it. But Tom, did you see this story? The NFL is back, and so the stories are coming in here. Here we go. Tennessee Titans defensive lineman Jeffrey Simmons, who, by the way, I just want to point out, spells Jeffrey the same way that my mom chose to spell Jeffrey for me. Very few people spell Jeffrey E-R-Y. Most of them spell it R-E-Y. But this guy spells it E-R-Y, and I was the only one I know who did that for until today. until today. I never knew anybody else. Seriously, I never knew anybody else that spelled Jeffrey, Jefffery. How about that? Good for you, Jeffrey Simmons. Anyhow, I continue to read. He addressed the media today to apologize for a verbal altercation that he got into with a local radio host. Here we go. That's not who I am or who I want to be seen as. At the end of the day, I take full accountability of my actions on the field, and I promise that won't ever happen again. He approached a host named, by the way, I'm sure I'm going to say this wrong, but I hope this guy's name is pronounced this way because, Tom, this is a great name. And if this were my name, we would utilize something to make a hilarious intro to every show. Simmons approached Buck Rising.
My guess was going to be Rick Montclair, but Buck Rising is way, way better.
Dude, how good is that? Welcome in, everybody. I'm Buck Rising. Simmons' approach, it could be Reesing, but you can't call yourself Reesing. You can't. Buck, if you're out there, and you are because Jeffrey Simmons yelled at you, you got to go by Buck Rising, the radio host. After practicing while he was live on the air about a post he made on social media, the verbal altercation came after Simmons got into two scuffles on back-to-back plays during the team period of Tuesday's practice. Simmons was allowed to remain in practice after Titans coach Brian Callahan yelled at the team. I forgot Brian Callahan was the head coach of the Titans, by the way. The Titans public relations team made arrangements for Simmons to speak to the host before practice. He has an understanding of where I'm coming from, and I have an understanding of where he's coming from now, said Simmons. He has a job, and I have a job. I would really, really love to have heard that understanding that they came to. This dude is, let me double check it. I think it's listed here. Let me see. Yeah, had 5.5 sacks last year. Missed the final 5 games though because of an injury. He is. You ready for it? Now I don't know the particulars on Buck Rising, but Jeffrey Simmons is 6'5", 310 pounds, and was a first-round pick.
I'm gonna set the over/under on Buck Rising's height at 5'9.5" listed. I'm gonna set the over/under there, and that's listed. Because if it's actual, I'm taking the under -250 on 5'9.5".
Oh, Buck, that had to have been one of those saucer-eyed moments as Mr. Simmons comes over to have a word.
Hey, Buck, Jeffrey wants to see you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I don't know what Buck said. I mean, what would you post on Twitter that would cause an uproar? Because here's the event. The event was that the guy got into a scuffle. The player got into a scuffle on consecutive plays. Well, I don't know what you would post about that other than the dude got into a fight. It's known that, for example, Julian Armella will throw some hands at practice every now and again. He's testy. He's testy. Would that cause him to come corner me and be angry about saying that he gets testy? Because that's not a rip. I'm not knocking him. I like that he's got a whole bunch of what for, and that there's a chance. Are you pulling up Buck Rising?
I'm glad that you heard that. I think that sound came through, didn't it? Of me.
No, I could just see the smile on your face, ear to ear, and I'm kind of laughing at it, like, okay, let's see.
So
what am I gonna learn
there's a screenshot of him being confronted. It's on TMZ, so all credit to TMZ for this image for the people on Warchant TV. But this is the fear in his face. There you go.
Well, I see you, Buck. The producer next to him, Tom, on the left, all right, his left, has a look. Who do you think's producing that? The guy in the gray shirt? Or the white shirt?
Oh, 100%. He's leaning in. He's loving it. I don't think he likes Buck very much.
No, he thinks this is hilarious. He's like, I told you, Buck. I told you this was good. Here he comes, man. Pulling a piece out on the lane.
Buck looks concerned.
Yeah, Buck looks concerned. That is a funny picture too, by the way. No, I don't know. I'm not taking sides. Oh boy, what are we gonna do here? This is a very sizable man walking my way. He's got something he has to get off his chest. They're down with the blue Gatorade.
Maybe I should throw that at him and run. It's a total freeze frame of when keeping it real goes wrong, isn't it?
That's not who I am or I want to be seen as. At the end of the day, I take full accountability with my actions on the field. I promise it won't ever happen again. He has an understanding of where I'm coming from, and I have an understanding of where he comes from, and he has a job to do. Okay. Simmons is a 3-time team captain, by the way. 4-year, $94 million contract before last season. So he doesn't suck. He's a really good player.
Man, you're going after a team captain? Usually you don't levy humongous amounts of criticisms for a guy that the locker room elevates. That usually just doesn't come up. There might be a free agent signing that the team took a chance on or something along those lines, and that's the guy who catches the shrapnel. But you usually don't go after a multi-time team captain because typically those guys are beyond reproach. That's interesting to me.
Yeah, the reason you don't, Stephen, nicely done. I'm sorry, what did you say? That's exactly what that caption should be for that guy. Oh, sorry for the folks listening on radio.
I'm telling you, well, for the folks on radio, the producer's leaning into this incident of the player.
Oh, he's like, yeah, I got no problems. I'm okay. It's my host here who's got some real issues to deal with here.
I don't think Buck Rising's producer was mad about this development. He's like, good. He deserves it. This guy, he's too loose with his lips. This is good.
Crossed the line there, didn't you, Buck? Like, do you think that producer afterwards? Ha! I told you, Buck.
I thought he might actually kick your ass, Buck. I thought he was going to do it.
I thought you were in trouble, Buck, and there'd have been nothing you could do about it. You see that, man? Yes, I did. Keith, I did see him. Let's get back. How many minutes till we get back from break here?
Keith, you know what? Okay, fine. You made your point. The XLRs are over there. Wrap them up, will you?
We're going to get to some probables here in a second. A reminder from our friends at Pitch and Penny Pools and Spas. Everything you need for pool maintenance, chemicals, cleaners, pumps, vacuums, nets, covers, you name it, they got it. If you have an older hot tub and you're thinking, I got to get rid of this hot tub, but I don't have the means by which to lift all this up and relocate it, I'd also like to upgrade my hot tub. Well, you're in luck because Pinch and Pity will do that for you, and they'll give you value for it. They'll haul the old one away, and they will take that beat-up hot tub, give you a trade-in value, credit towards the new hot tub. It's even more savings. They make it easy, folks. Go check them out. Having an amazing hot tub is not out of reach. Go see them today on Greer Road. Find out for yourself how easy and affordable it is to have a new hot tub. Pinch and Penny, yeah, man.
Okay, so a quick question before we go to probables. You've seen what Buck Rising looks like. Let's throw that out of the brain for a minute. If Buck Rising was the name of a 4-star or 5-star prospect.
Oh, my God. I'd give whatever money we needed to have to get him in here.
Okay, what position do you think Buck Rising plays?
He's a quarterback.
Really? Now, that's interesting. I went the exact opposite way. I think he's a defensive tackle.
Well, I don't see it, Tom. I see a quarterback, and it's ridiculous. And if he's your quarterback, you love him. And if he plays for the other team, you hate his ass because his name's Buck Rising. But you're like, I can picture a play-by-play announcer, fresh off a 342-yard day, Buck Rising takes the field now. His team trailing 3-0 in the early going.
I see him as a 6'2", 280. Looks a little undersized. He's got the mullet. Yeah, well, he's a D tackle, and the people. He reminds me of a defensive Jason Kelsey. I don't know why, but he's just he's quick and undersized, and he just makes plays. That's what Buck always has the camouflage something. He's got like a camouflage sleeve, or that's Buck Rising to me.
He's a character in a terrible movie. That's the other thing he is. But it's Garrett. That's not bad. Tight end. Because we've had the Brocks of the world, right? Yeah, that's not bad either. Did he catch it? I think he did. That'll be Buck Rising 6th catch of the half. Buck Rising, he did catch that ball. 1st and 10, and they are set up. Yeah.
Oh man, that would be if you're Culhane. Just, I mean, what a dream! Touchdown, Buck Rising.
Yeah. No, I got you, live spectator. I know all about Cam Rising because that Cam Rising was in the same situation a year ago as our own Robert Scott. Every week, I think they're going to get Cam Rising back this week. And I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not. He has stopped saying that every week, and it would affect the betting lines, and it would infuriate me. I know about Utah now. I will follow me some Utah football. And I've won a lot of money on Utah football, and every week they're like, well, word on the street is Cam Rising's going to start today. I'm like, it's been 7 weeks. Why would he start today? Stop it.
Maybe Cam Rising has a brother named Buck Rising. And, like Cam was the square in the family, and Buck was the wild child. It could be.
Yeah, Buck ended up as a talk show host like me. That's how it works. I'm reminded not to mention anything about your game, and
I'm not even looking at you because I don't want to try. I can read your facial expression, so I closed my eyes. I'm trying to go into this thing.
You remember the buzz that used to piss you off? That was the best.
Oh my God, yes. We'd be prepping, and it'd be bases loaded. Here comes the 2-1. All right, foul straight away, and it's like it's going to run at 2-2. I'm like, well, great. I'll bet we drive in a run here. That's awesome. Glad I knew that. Base hit. 1 run is in. Here comes the. Yeah. I was like, well, I knew it.
Yankees, Phillies, Cortez, and Sanchez. That's 6-4 Yankees. Baltimore's up 9-4 on Toronto. That was Paolo Espino and Grayson Rodriguez. Lopez and Severino in your game. Braves, Brewers, Chris Sale, Freddie Peralta. That is 2-0 Milwaukee. Get it together, Atlanta. Royals, White Sox, Brady Singer, Drew Thorpe. Rangers, Cardinals. That is 3-0 Cardinals. Damn it, man. Andrew Haney, Michael McGreevy. Nationals, D-backs, Mackenzie Gore, Zach Gallen. Mariners, Red Sox. Good game. George Kirby, Brian Bello. Cubs, Reds, Kyle Hendricks, Nick Lodolo. Pirates, Astros tonight. Buccos looking for the sweep. And we're throwing a dude that has not been on the team all year who came over yesterday and is a reliever, Jake Woodford. Framber Valdez goes for the Astros. Got to be honest with you, I'm going to bet the Astros win that game. Dodgers, Padres, Clayton Kershaw, Dylan Cease. Rockies, Angels, Kyle Freeland, Davis Daniel. A's, Giants, Ross Stripling, who's a big, big man, but has forgotten how to pitch. 2-9 with a 6.02 this year. Logan Webb goes for the Giants. Marlins somehow still fielding a baseball team after trading the entirety of it away yesterday. Roderi Munoz and Taj Bradley for the Rays. That is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. There you go. There you go. Now, no looking in the chat, Tom. You say goodbye. You wave goodbye. It's okay.
Did somebody try and be...
They didn't hear. They didn't know better. Do not go looking at that chat.
No, I'm not going. That sounds
you just sign off.
It sounds like bad news.
No. I don't. Somebody accidentally posted a score. Just go sign off. Go sign off. Goodbye, Tom. I'll see you tomorrow.
That's our show.
That is it. That's it. Be good. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Another live Jeff Cameron show. Peace.